There's another drug they don't tell you is a drug. It's a class 4 narcotic.
A 2007 study with 29 young adults found that moderate doses of alcohol up to 1 hour before bedtime reduced melatonin production by nearly 20%. That's the study on alcohol and melatonin in young adults. A 2018 study of 4,908 Finnish participants found that sleep quality was reduced by 9.3% after 1 glass of wine, and by 24% after 2 glasses of wine, and by almost 40%, 39.2%, after 3 or more glasses of wine, or an equivalent amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
Which is really, really staggering that your sleep quality could dip 40% after 3 glasses of wine.
Alcohol is holding you back. Everybody is searching for optimal health, peak performance, more productivity in their work, how to lose weight, and yet they're not realizing that this vision of what alcohol-free could feel like, that is the one thing that will give them what they are looking for.
It's 5 o'clock. I can feel that wine. I can feel it, right? I'm thinking, oh, I'm a cook. It's summer. I'm having a little rosé. This is going to be awesome. And then do you go through the thing where you say to yourself, why did I say I wasn't going to drink tonight?
People don't give you the credit for the drums. They don't give you the credit for the acting. Do you have a chip on your shoulder in a way? Do you think that's what led to maybe the drinking?
No, I don't know. The drinking came, I could handle it. And my parents were alcoholics, but they were functioning. And, it's hereditary. And if you poke at it long enough, poke, I got that, and then it attacks you like a monster. And that's what happened to me. But it was, the combination of a divorce, and my dad died, and then it just kind of went down, and my mom died, and I just hit rock bottom.
When I wore my whoop, and then I had, 1 glass of wine or 2 glasses or 3 glasses of wine the day before, when I woke up the next day, my heart rate variability was like flashing red. It was 30, 40. Typically, on a great day, my heart rate variability is 150, 140. But on a day where I had a glass of alcohol, it'd be flashing red and it would be 40. Also, if I was sick, it would be 40. Also, if I had a really stressful, unslept day the day before, it would also be 40. And the fact that alcohol was causing my heart to respond the same as a awfully stressful, unslept day or COVID, I thought, fuck that.
Canadian health authorities had previously said that a low-risk amount of alcohol was about 10 drinks per week.
I dedicated my life to helping other people, and I think that was the one thing that really helped me with my addiction. We started drinking wine, 13 or 12, and taking pills and drinking wine, and that was it. It was just about 14, 15, we started just, shooting heroin again.
I just never wanted to drink. It's just something that didn't interest me. I have an addictive personality, like where I wear the same outfit for a month and a half type. So me being aware of that, if I ended up liking alcohol or some shit, it would be the
It was like, I realized this is how I've been dealing with the pain. I just been numbing this and not like hitting it head on. I'm just following in the same cycle that my mom just did, and I've been holding on to all this shit. There's things that I beat in my life, like things that I had to overcome just to be a better person.
There's a sobering new study about the long-term effects of alcohol. Having just 1 drink a day could impact your brain.
Many people enjoy the occasional glass of wine with dinner or a drink to wind down at the end of the day. Research has long shown that those who drink heavily have changes in the structure and size of the brain that are associated with cognitive impairments. But now a new study finds even just a few beers or glasses of wine a week may also be risky.
Alcohol, or more properly known as ethanol, is a legitimate toxin. While there are studies that have shown that small amounts of daily alcohol consumption can actually be good for you, those studies are pretty inconsistent with each other, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody willing to say that alcohol is overall healthy for you. Kidney is going to start dropping electrolytes into the urinary tract, and so that means as you urinate, you're going to start losing electrolytes with hangovers. But just think about it like this. Not only are you dehydrated, you're also lowering your ability to rehydrate, because electrolytes are what attract water back into your body. So I'm sure you're starting to see where this is all going. You're jacked out of your mind on adrenaline and stress hormone. You are making bad decisions. You're happy about it, and you gotta pee all the time.
I call myself a junkie. I refer to myself as a junkie simply so I demystify it. I call myself a dope fiend because I'm a dope fiend. I was in a good, stable marriage, writing books for children that were bestsellers. I was getting more and more work and more fame and attention and adulation. I got more as my addiction got worse, not less. My high bottom made that denial much more pervasive because it was all working. It's not working because if you are asking yourself, can I stop this? Then you're in a prison of your own mind. And I was in that prison even though I was fabulous and all the bullshit part of show-off business.
If you've got a series of behaviors, we talked a lot about sleep and physiological things, and you've got the psychological things, and they're either going to support your values, kind of who you want to be in this world, or they're not. And I think that's the lens with which I look at alcohol. In what way is this supporting my values of growth and impact and presence and compassion and tolerance, the things that are like core to who I want to be in this world. And I think when you look at it through that lens, the choices become really clear to me. If you're honest with yourself and you have some degree of self-awareness, understand what you care about, choices become a lot clearer. Like there's way more clarity about how to live your life in the micro, which is really what we're talking about. These just many choices throughout the day. Does it support who you want to be in the world or does it not? And there's very little gray actually. And the gray are excuses in my view. And we can rationalize and make stuff up all day long to make ourselves feel better. But when you can step back from all of that and look at it really taking yourself kind of out of the equation and look at it from a very objective standpoint, I think a choice like alcohol becomes very clear.
You were one of the highest paid TV presenters in the country. You're on prime time, national television, on ITV. When you were doing that, were you drinking, and how did you hide it if you were?
Right, okay, well for me personally, I never ever took anything when I worked. I know it probably looked like I did because of the manner of way I worked and being really off the scales. I was so dedicated and so focused on my work, that was my addiction. As I say, when I got successful, I suddenly had more time to myself. And it's very difficult. If you take away from me my work, the thing I love that makes me tick completely 24/7, I used to look at myself and say, well, who am I? Who are you?
There are about one out of every 6 people, maybe 1 out of every 5 people are prone to be chemically dependent. Something I learned in my hospitalization. 60 million prescriptions of valium dispensed in 1984 in this country. You can figure 1 out of 6 or 10 million of those were dispensed to people who are prone to be chemically dependent. That means if they continue to take that, I'm not going down on Valium especially, but if they continue to take a mood altering, can become addicted or habituated to it.
As a brain scientist, that's what I want to understand. I want to understand the brain. And alcohol is a very interesting probe of different brain systems. And the changes we see that underpin the effects of alcohol, are relevant to all sorts of disorders. They're relevant to disorders like sleep disorders, relevant to epilepsy, relevant to anxiety, depression. This drug, which you can just go and buy in the shops, can produce these enormous changes in people's minds.
Most people probably don't relate Linkin Park or myself with, alcoholism or drug addiction or anything like that. And, but that's a part of my life, and that's been a part of my life since I was a very young boy. I would say that music has probably kept me alive more so than anything else. I mean, other than, love from your friends and family, I think that, music is probably the reason why I still am here, because that is how I get out a lot of the stuff that's going on inside of me. And that's how I kind of work through a lot of things. I reflect on my life, I reflect on how I feel, and I get to talk about it.
It's a long time ago now, so I don't really like dwelling on all that subject because it's way in the past. I have no regrets, however, because no regrets at all. I didn't want to go through it again. I've learned a lot about myself for the last, whatever it's been, so many years now, that there's a very compulsive side to my nature. Most people I know who are actors or musicians or poets or writers tend to be this way. It develops into self-destructiveness. It's addictive personality, as they call it now. The fashion is to call it self-addictive personality types. I was just like that. And at the time, when I was much younger, excuse me, it seemed to be a very attractive way of life. I thought it was the only way to live. Looking back on it, I'm glad I survived, because it finally rips you to pieces and you're dead, or finished, or unemployable. And I've learned something about myself, that part of me is still alive, but now it doesn't control my life. And I'm glad it's alive in me, because I feel restless most of my time, you know. I'm never really satisfied. And yet, in a strange way, I'm very content in many areas of my life now. Probably because I'm getting older. But I wouldn't have missed any of it. I'm glad I am what I am. I'm glad I am what I was, for example. I don't want to actively live like that anymore, because it's a short circuit, you know, it's a dead end. But it's informed my life as an actor, and it's enriched my life as a human being. I feel much richer for all this, because now I feel like a survivor.
You look very good. You look.
Oh, thank you.
What have you been doing?
Pay you later.
What's your tip?
I quit boozing like a year
Cold
ago.
turkey?
Yeah. November
Okay.
24th. Not like I'm like a AA sober guy.
Yeah.
I was just, I was getting, I was having a couple of 2, 3, and then it just started bothering me once I had a kid. I'm like, I have a baby upstairs, toddler, who's sleeping right now, and I am legally hammered.
Yeah.
Not drunk. I need to go on a little bit of a, and you need to kind of put yourself in dry dock.
Yes.
For a second. It wasn't just a bunch of guys. It was women too, and kids and stuff. So there was just too much of a commotion. It never happened. And then I got into double digits, and I was just like, all right, well, let me just see if I can go through Christmas. And then once I got through New Year's Day, I was just like, I'm not drinking this year.
Quit drinking after that, right?
I did. I quit drinking back in October.
Like forever?
For 18 years.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna stop drinking while my son's living in my house, just because I don't totally love the way I do it, and he's getting to an age where he really does need me all the time in the mornings.
Wow.
And yeah. I did one school run one day where I dropped him off at school. I wasn't driving, but I was hungover, and that was enough for me. I didn't love that.
Sometimes some habits can turn into lifestyles, and certain lifestyles don't lead to all the benefits and all the amazing things that life has to offer. Some lifestyles lead to very dark paths, depression, anxiety, stress, and if not controlled, can also lead to some of the worst case scenarios out there in life. One of them being never reaching your capacity, never really having an identity or a self-worth, losing all integrity, all dignity, and losing yourself. Just a few years ago, I was in a very dark place in my life. They say that depression comes from the inability to construct the future in your mind. I couldn't see the future. I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I was wanting to be a certain person, but making all the wrong decisions. I made a lot of mistakes. When it comes to alcohol itself, which is something that I was struggling with at the time, it went slowly from being a work hard, play hard, have a drink, to 2 drinks, to 3 drinks, to then a habit, to then a daily habit, to then a 24/7 habit, to then a every weekend habit, getting lost in myself habit. Sometimes if you don't watch the kind of habits that you're building, they become lifestyles. Before I knew it, I was digging myself a hole, and everywhere I looked, it was so dark, and I lost myself. I spiraled into a sense of no self-worth, and I struggled a lot, and nobody knew. I hit rock bottom, to the point where I almost lost my job, to the point where some people had to have very tough conversations with me. Some friends had to deal with my drama, and they say hurting people hurt people. I was hurting inside, and I was hurting others and didn't even know it.
Obviously, emotion, huge trigger for addiction. Whether it's addictive eating, it's drinking too much, it is drugs, but there's other triggers, time of day being a huge one. The room that you're in, another one. For those of you that do drink, I bet you have friends that you drink a lot more with than the other friends that you don't. So people can trigger you to go into autopilot. And so here's a couple things that really work well when you want to manage not having a glass of wine, because this is my killer too, because that's my go-to. And in order to take on and be responsible about all of the things going on in our business, I shouldn't drink during the week, okay? And so here's what I do. Yes, it's 5 o'clock. I can feel that wine I can feel it. I really can, especially if I'm in my kitchen, right? I'm thinking, oh, I'm a cook. It's summer, I'm having a little rosé. This is gonna be awesome. And then do you go through the thing where you say to yourself, why did I say I wasn't gonna drink tonight? Why did I say that? So you can go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to interrupt all that garbage upstairs and get present again. Yes, you may need to use it 37 times tonight. The second thing, if-then planning. If-then planning is an incredibly effective tool, and there's a tremendous amount of research around using if-then plans. So the way that you would use it for drinking is, if this is a night where I am not drinking, then I am going to have a fun mocktail ready to make. And so one of the things that has helped me a tremendous amount is on the nights that I'm not drinking, I use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to deal with the garbage upstairs where I start bitching at myself for actually saying I'm not gonna drink and for wanting it and feeling the urge. And then I have a then plan in place. And my plan lately has been, you know the kombucha stuff, that fermented tea? I have that in a wine glass with a little bit of club soda and a lime, and it feels like a cocktail. And the thing that's interesting is it's not necessarily the buzz that I enjoy from having a glass of wine, it's the ritual. It's the fact that the day is over and I'm cooking dinner and it's time to relax and I'm treating myself to something. And so those two things, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to interrupt the way that you're complaining or the desire, and then a then plan for what you're gonna substitute, majorly effective.
Hello everyone, good morning. 45 years ago today, I had a wake-up call. I was heading for disaster. I was drinking myself to death. I'm not preachy, but I got a message, a little thought that said, do you want to live or die? And I said, I want to live. And suddenly the relief came and my life has been amazing. And I have my off days and sometimes little bits of doubt and all that. But all in all, I say, hang in there. Today is the tomorrow you were so worried about yesterday. You young people, don't give up. Just keep in there. Just keep fighting. Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And that sustained me through my life. And that's all I've got to say. This is going to be the best year